Alright, guys. Welcome back to the 420 Fisherman. Just wanted to point out, man, I posted a short a little bit ago from Tactical Bass and talking about June bug, June bug, June bug. And I'm going to tell you what, from summertime on into late fall, there in the springtime, that's absolutely one of my favorite colors besides watermelon reds and green pumpkins. It's just something about June bug, that color. I don't know. It just catches them, man. Big ones, small ones, it don't matter. It catches them. And another thing I want to talk about, some liquid mayhem. That stuff right there, man, has became a staple in my tackle box. But simplicity of fishing, of Texas rigging, and fishing it around grass, right there, that's a tungsten sinker. I don't really care for that tungsten sinker in the grass. I don't really care for it much around wood either. I'd rather have that old-fashioned soft point lead right there. It's a little bit lighter. That's supposed to be a quarter ounce. I weighed it out. It's like 6.38 grams. Yeah, that ain't even really at a quarter. So counting your hook and whatever worm you use, it's considered being a little bit over a quarter then, you know. But I'd rather have them when I'm fishing in grass. And give you an idea where we fished our last tournament at. I drew it out from memory about the little spot because it's hometown lake for me. You know, it's a dam wall here, a spillway, rocky. All this green part is a grass line. I mean, it's probably about a good 120 yard grass line right here for these laydowns. But what got me interested in the laydowns, and is where I go to this drawing from memory, is when I unsnagged a square bill off some little limb that done fell into this part here. I noticed on my buddy's low rants trolling up through over that grass, I just kept noticing the arches and little spots here, and I figured the spots the fish was probably setting long ways in the grass, them little opening spots. And then these arches, they were just sitting there watching that grass line. And instead of doing what most people would do, going out there and throwing that spinnerbait and chatterbait that they probably done seen 100 times, we just cruised on back down through here, worked this bank a little bit with the square bills and jerk baits. No luck. Came back down. I started throwing that Texas rig. Threw up towards the spillway. Worked that Texas rig. Swimmed it over top of that grass. Let it fall down on the backside, and boom, got the first one. That's when my buddy's like, all right, man, I got to tie this square bill. And that's when he went and started tying on a jig and tying on a Texas rig, but he went weightless with a June bug Cinco. So I worked my way up, kind of staying out here on this outside where it was 12 foot deep. 12 to 10 foot deep is where I try to keep the boat at. And try to work these little openings that I could right there, but no luck. But I made a couple long casts back up this way into that grass and on this grass edge. Caught the second fish there. That's when my buddy, he was trying to hurry up and tie on, so then I moved up the boat here after he got tied on. Flipped back up in here in this little pocket. I caught my third fish. It was about a 3.5, almost 4 pound bass. Back here it was in the shade from the overhanging limbs and the trees. So it was a shade. That's why I went so much grass growing up against the bank. Most of the grass was out here with the sun line, where the shade would be at all day long. So the grass would grow out from that shade line, probably about, at least a good 8 foot wide. From where it would start growing, it was real thick. For a good 5, 6, 8 foot patches here, it was just real thicker grass. And then out here, it was just little strands of long grass growing in 9 and 10 foot of water. And some, like I said, and even in the 12 foot. But working it parallel, swimming that Texas rig June bug color worm through there. Caught a couple more little ones that didn't really fan out. My buddy, he finally hooked into one back here in this little cut beside that lay down on his weightless. And no sooner it hit the water, man, it thumped it. That was another one that was about 3 3/4 pounds. The other reason why this spot become such a key spot, I think, or why these fish were sitting in this spot was for current from the spillway. The spillway was flowing pretty good. We had a couple good rains come in. The water was good and dirty. You only had about 3 to 4 foot visibility whenever you was working like chrome and black jerkbait or white and black square bill. You could see it, 3 to 4 foot deep. But other than that, man, the June bug was on fire. And I just think, man, a lot of people miss out on that simplicity of fishing, thinking about that power fishing, wanting to catch one on spinnerbait, crankbait, chatterbaits, and they overlook the old-fashioned ways of getting in there. And like this, with Carolina rig, old ball and chain, I love throwing big worms in this part of the year because a lot of times you can get a big bite off a big worm. And, big ball and chain, that's mostly from my rocky points there. But sometimes I like to finesse it up a little bit. I can't quite remember what those sinkers right there were called. I think they're kind of new woohoos, I think, on the market. But, yeah, I figure, man, I share that tip with y'all too right there. Finesse up your Carolina rigs. You can throw these up against the bank. Usually I run like a 14, 16, 18. I don't really go no more than 20 inches on a fallback leader on my Carolina rigs. And, yeah, little tip there, man. Finesse it up a little bit. You can actually throw that on some of your medium heavy to heavy daggone spinning rods and get away Carolina rigging light. Just another tip I wanted to share. But with the tournament over this past weekend, like I said, we finished third, finished 4 ounces behind second, finished just a little under a pound behind first. First was like 9.2, 9.3. We was, I think, 8.4, 8.6. Second was like 8.9, 8.10. Yeah, it was a close one. Everybody was within a pound of the leader at this tournament. And like I said, man, big worms, Texas rig in some grass. Go out there, give it a try. Sometimes, man, slowing down can get you the bigger bites. And like I said, get you some liquid mayhem. All right, y'all. Tight lines and fish whistles. We'll holler at you. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and that like, y'all.